This movie review is dedicated to a wonderful soul that we just lost in the horror community. The renowned Tony Todd recently passed away. Our heart goes out to him and his family and hope that they make it through this tragic time. And we'll miss you, buddy.
Death scenes are always much more elaborate. More blood, more gore. Carnage, candy.
Hey guys, what's going on? We're back with another horror movie review, but this time we are reviewing A24's newly released film, Heretic. Heretic is a psychological horror film written and directed by Scott Beck and Brian Woods, starring Sophie Thatcher, Chloe East, and Hugh Grant. Scott Beck and Brian Woods, you probably saw their previous work they've done. They did A Quiet Place with John Krasinski. They did the movie Haunt. I've seen some stuff for Haunt. It's sort of more indie, but they did Haunt. They did that Adam Driver film called 65. And they also did The Boogeyman. And I really didn't like The Boogeyman, but I liked A Quiet Place. And the other two I don't think I've actually seen. I might check out Haunt actually, but I don't think I have any ambitions to see the movie 65 because it's not my cup of tea, obviously. This movie, I want to start off by saying this movie, when I saw the trailer, I thought it was one thing, kind of like a B horror film where like it was kind of like Saw. Also at the same time, I thought it was just like your typical abduction film, but we did not get that this time. We actually got something very different. And I really liked how different it was. And I really liked what came out of this movie. And I'm really glad I saw it. Heretic follows two Mormon missionaries that are trying to convert a middle-aged man played by Hugh Grant, where they begin to notice the situation they're in isn't what they entailed for it to be. So first off, I want to say I am an atheist human being. And I've never really grown up with God in my life. But I feel like that didn't make me like or hate this movie any. Just because I couldn't relate to believing, I still really like the film because I feel like it can relate to everyone regardless of their religious situations. Of course, if you're a Mormon or have past experiences with trying to leave or trying to bring someone across your religion or something like that, you probably feel more. But the reason why I feel like anybody can relate to this, because I think everybody has questioned their faith one way at some point of their life. They have, because you have to do deciding for yourself, and you can't just listen to what everybody tells you. And that's pretty much what Hugh Grant's character tries to bring about these characters. I think because this is a movie of interpretation, because I feel like this movie can mean many different things to many different people, and that's one thing that I really enjoyed about it. But for me, I interpreted it that he was trying to show them that just because someone told you this was true does not make it true. I also got vibes that he was trying to convert them to this weird control situation where they are submissive to him and his false cause. He even said it was a false cause, which I felt like was kind of weird, but at the same time he was improvising because later in the movie something bad happened. And I think throughout this entire movie, he's either trying to convince them that their faith isn't the true religion, but at the same time, I also think he's trying to teach them that just because somebody taught you one thing, it doesn't necessarily make it true. And I think that duo of a situation really got me thinking, okay, so is he doing this or is he doing this? So it leaves some interpretation on that, and I'm like a little bit skeptic on Hugh Grant's character for just that. Because I saw the trailer, I knew what the overall premise was, but we didn't know the in-depth details of it, which I liked. The whole time we're like, what is this guy's motive? What is he actually trying to do in this situation? And the entire story just unfolds throughout the film, and that's why I really like it, because not only does it keep your interest, but you learn more about it as it goes on, and that's pretty much really good story telling. So good job, Brian Woods and Scott Beck, for that, because I was intrigued the entire time. There was not a moment in the movie that I was like, this was boring. And I thought it was going to be a little boring because my experience with topics like this, with the religious topic or anything of that nature, because it's not my cup of tea. But I don't think that necessarily matters, because anybody can be an artist for this, because everyone's been a skeptic of a situation. But at the same time, if you're not a skeptic, you can interpret it in a different way because of Sophie Thatcher. I think Barnes was Sophie and Paxton was Chloe East, but I'm not totally sure. I might have mixed them up. But what I liked about their characters is because one of them, because they kind of switched places in the beginning, it seems like Chloe East's character isn't all aboard with the whole Mormon thing. It seems like she's a little like not fully invested in it because of the beginning conversations that they have when the film first starts up. Later on in the movie, you start to notice the differences in their personality. Not only do you start to notice it, but it looks like the camera work is also kind of a determining factor of that situation, because every time there's a 2-shot close-up of them, you see Sophie's character in full focus, and slightly behind Sophie's character is Chloe's character, and she's a little bit out of focus. And I feel like that signified that Sophie is going to be the personality that leads them through this journey. They do kind of switch sides where it looks like that Sophie, because you find out through the dialogue that she wasn't born into Mormonism, and you find out Chloe actually was. At first you think it's Chloe, because literally the first scene you're like, okay, Chloe might not be this because porn and shit. Like, I don't, that's just how you kind of felt that she wasn't in it as much as Sophie is. So after this part of the discussion, I feel like that we should go into a spoiler section, because this is where I'm going to get going on kind of the plots of the film. So if you haven't seen it yet, turn it off, go see it, come back. Maybe you won't come back, but I would like you to come back. When things start happening to where they realize that they're not in control, not only are they not in control of the situation is not what it appears to be, and they start panicking. And not only do they start panicking, they are trying to find a way to get out. He tries to reassure them, and they're like, yeah, but that's kind of weird. This is kind of weird. There's too much weird stuff going on for you to be legit. You know what I mean? Their guess was pretty fucking accurate, because this went off as soon as they go through the door, which I also thought was some sort of symbolism. When they go to the door and he says, you can either go through the disbelief door or the belief door, it seems like there was some sort of symbolic metaphor. This might just be how I interpreted it. There was some sort of symbolic metaphor of each door kind of leads to the same place, regardless of how you believe, which I thought was very powerful. I might be thinking crazily, but I feel like that's how I perceived this situation, because both doors led to the basement or whatever that place, that dungeon was. They start noticing, like, he tries to start converting them and turns it into some sort of like trying to get them on their side, but things go wrong when he gets like his prophet, like he says that he has his prophet and he can show them the true religion. When things go off the rails and his prophet says something like it's not real, and it totally shifts things. And I think I don't know if he heard her or he realized that she reinstated like what he said. He said that it wasn't real, and that he knew what he wrote. So he knew that was flawed, and he improvised from there, because you could tell they were just like, and it looked like, since Sophie was calling him out and she was the more like less emotional, she believes in what she believes and that's what she's sticking to, you can't convert me thing, he improvised and straight split her. And it wasn't really deep, so I feel like if she would have just like, I'm not a fucking biologist or I'm not a doctor, but I feel like if she would have held it for a while, like eventually she would probably bleed out, but it would have taken a longer time than just like letting it go out. Like, it was kind of wild, because I don't think it cut any like severe arteries. It ends up not working, and Chloe East's character sees the flaw in his entire plan and then just stabs him. And I don't know if stabbing him led to, which I think was wild, how he got up, went back to her, and then stabbed her. That was because he stabbed her in the stomach, and this dude's just walking. Like, I didn't like that. He was just walking fine. Like, that was wild. That's when they both die. But what's really left to interpretation was the ending. Was she alive or was she dead? Because in the beginning, she said, I personally thought she died and she was hallucinating the whole end. But when you see it, she sees the butterfly come on her hand and then it disappeared. Like she was hallucinating it. But was she just hallucinating that? Or it was just some kind of thing she was hopeful for? Or was she hallucinating the entire segment of her escaping? Because I also thought it was weird how she escaped. How'd she escape through that window? That was kind of weird. But Hugh Grant, I want to say this right now. All three actors, Sophie Thatcher, Hugh Grant, and Chloe East, killed it. You guys might not have known this, but our boy Topher Grace from Spider-Man 3, and of course that 70s show, is in this movie. I didn't even notice him the first time I saw it. I was like, Topher Grace is in this? And then the second time I did watch it twice. The second time I watched, I was like, yo, he's the guy that's knocking on their door when the church can't find them. Like, he's like, okay, they've been out for a while and noticed they were missing. He goes to the place, like he kind of retraces their step. I'm surprised they didn't send a text to anyone saying, like, because it seemed like they were pretty careful. They knew the correct measurements so that this situation wouldn't happen to them. Why didn't they text or call anyone? Like their address or like, hey, if I'm not, come get me. Which it didn't matter either way, because the dude, you can't hear shit from his house. Like, you'd have to bring the police and like enter his home or something. But still, it would have been better than like what actually happened. They didn't message anybody. But I really, really like this movie. And I didn't think I was going to like this movie, but this movie was super solid. And I'm really glad I watched it. I might even see it a third time because how much it was really cool. I really dig the whole questioning your faith and leaving that for interpretation with the viewer. I feel like anybody can really sit down and enjoy this movie. I feel like this is more psychological and it wasn't much horror, but the horror was there. There's blood and stuff like that. But it was more, I feel like it was more to get you thinking. You know what I mean? That's what I really loved about it. It really got you questioning every single situation that happened. If you guys liked it, let me know in the comments. If you didn't like it, tell me why, so that we could talk about it and have a civil discussion in the comments there. I would like you guys to go see it. It's worth seeing in the theaters, so go check it out. I would probably, if I had to give it a letter, I would probably have to give it like a solid B+. That was a really solid film, and I really enjoyed it. Hugh Grant did a really good job. The actresses did a really good job. Topher Grace was in there for a little bit. There's not much cast here, but they executed it so well, and I loved it. So go out and see it, and I can't wait to see you guys next time when I have another video out. We just hit 100 subscribers, so let's keep this going. Hit that subscribe button. Take it easy.